This is Mark Farrar from Not Square Design in Butte, Montana, and I have covered creating the working drawing in the past. And um, right now, what I have is a floor plan for a small commercial edition, really small. And I'm gonna start to create the working drawing to develop the elevations, eventually the sections, and thought let's do that from the get-go as a start. So I do have templates of my own. So I'm just going to open up a standard full drawing template. And with that open, then I just need to go to proper layers. And so I've got an as-built or my CDs. And this project is pretty tiny, so I probably won't need both. But, well, maybe I will. So let's do the as-built. It only has one level, so I'm gonna use the level one as my current layer, so I can bring in the XREF into that layer. And that XREF is gonna be just a floor plan, and I've renamed it. That was the initial one, the same drawing, but let's bring it in, and the scale will be, and the insertion point should just land on 0. I think it'll be fine. Yeah, okay, and pop, there it is. Now I can XC to do an X clip of this and just hit the spacebar 3 times because it's all just default for a rectangular clip, so I don't have all the extraneous information. So these lines are on the drawing, but the ones that were part of this drawing were behind it. So I really don't even need these anymore. I probably don't even need the ones on the floor plan now. This is the floor plan, so if I wanted to, I could get rid of them. But I use them for my dimensioning. So I'll leave them there. And now that I've got that just sitting there, let's make sure that and you can just hit save in a template. You don't have to worry about the save as so much. And so what I will call this is just the name of the project, which I'm just calling it Juicy. It's Juicy Vapor. Vapor Place out in Belgrade, Montana. Rocker area. Not Belgrade, Rocker. Boy, I'm really messed that up. It's in Rocker, so it's just where you turn off to go I-15 to go south to Idaho. But we're just going to call it Juicy Working. And that's that. So once that's in there, then I just need a line, and I don't really care for my UCS icon to be on. So I just start it off. And this marker helps me align drawings from one place to another. So I click on it. You'll see it's got a line and a line, but that's only because I clipped this. If I were to drag this out and then I were to come back and click on it, it's going to actually give me the ability, because right over that is part of the XREF. So that's how I know I've got everything kind of aligning the way I like it. So what I need is a baseline, and I typically use a magenta. And when I draw in the working drawing, I only use the D layers for the most part. I mean, there are a couple layers I might insert. So what I can do is I can go right down to my drawing and just segment it out, and then just say, hey, I'm going to go on the D object dark to make it current, and then now I can just draw a line, if it'll let me, line from here. In fact, let's not do it that way. Let's make sure it's really straight. I like using X lines because then I know they're straight. Now, I could probably drop it on there and I wouldn't be in threat of hitting that with the shortness of this building, but I want to be a little bit safe because I'm eventually going to note. So I'm going to drop it down a little bit further. And then what I do is I'll take and I'll copy this guy. And I'll bring it over to a reasonable length, and look what I have. I've got 47, 48. So a reasonable number for this is probably like about 75 feet to allow for a story pole for so 150 feet. And then there's another way to do it, is to copy this. And if I copy it from relatively this corner to this corner, I'm going to end up with the same distance. So there they all are. And I'm just going to rotate them. Rotate that about here, 90. Rotate this about the same point, 180. There we go. And rotate this one about the same point, and this will be 270. Man, it's taking its time because of all those layers. They're clipped, but it's still thinking about it. And probably because I didn't shut down completely last night. So now that those are in place, I can switch over to just the object layer, do an XL, put it on vertically, drop one here, and I'm going to do the elevations first. I usually do the section first, but I don't have enough site information at this point in time to truly do that correctly. So I'm just going to drop in lines to start an elevation using the data that I was given from the project owner. So those are in place. So I'll just trim here. Those are cut off. And then I do need to bring up stuff from the project owner. So here we have drawings that are from the owner, and in this was a set of PDF sketches, and I have to drag that over to where you can see it. And so this is how I drew up the floor plan, but then I've got these elevations, and it seems as if, you know, he's got the number 15 here, and if I were to count these, there's probably 15. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, there's 15. So I can get an idea and then look and see if there's anything that really 10 feet. 10 feet. So what is that 10 feet to? Don't really know. Looks like maybe about 10.6. I think for the purposes of just making this happen, I'm going to use a pre-cut. So what I'm talking about there is, I can actually use this to show you. In my support folder, I have got my AutoCAD support, and in there I have blocks. And in there I've got structural, and then I can go to dimensional lumber, and in dimensional lumber I can look for 2x6 10-foot pre-cut. So that's going to be this guy, and it comes with the plates, and I even think the insulation is in there. So now that you kind of see how my filing system is structured, we're just going to go there. Oh, I don't want to open it. I'm going to insert it. So insert, or I can just go to this guy. This little icon here is for my blocks. Go to my library. Go to my recents if I want. Check my favorites. My library is no. So nothing was there, so I'm going to go to library, which now I'm going to take it to the same place. I'm going to back up one because this is that blocks evolving. And then I was in structural, dimensional, and then 2x6 pre-cut, not the 2x4, the 2x6 pre-cut. And now, if you use it with the library symbol, you'll have to select it to bring it in. So now I'll bring it in, drop it, and now I've got a pre-cut from my floor system. And let's take a look at what he's got. I'm going to kind of guess that these are flat trusses. Actually, no, he told me that this is vaulted inside. So here, if I want to, I can take a line. I love doing these diagonals. Oh, when I do this sort of stuff, I go to the junk layer because if I forget to erase it, this keeps it from being printed by accident. Now, I've gone from this lower corner to the outer corner up here, meaning that this midpoint is the midpoint of the building. So now I can take this guy and mirror it and drop it. Now it's in the right place, but it's backwards because it's a block. Since it's a block, the text does not reverse itself automatically as it would if I just done text. So there's my yes, enter. That didn't work, so mirror, grab that, and from the middle, make sure I'm in the middle. Maybe that's my problem. Grab the middle, I'll come down instead of up. down, and then say yes, and it flips it. So I can use this line if I want. Bring it up, drop it here, and I have basically my roof, and now I can just match properties on that, and now it's no longer in the junk layer. Then I can trim to it, and you got the beginnings of an elevation. And what I will do is when I get my section going, so I should probably pick a direction. Let's pick this one. This will be a good place to cut the section through here. So I'm going to copy this guy. And we'll copy it from, let's just say here to here. That's pretty far. So I'll move it back a little bit. Now that I have that section, what I want to do is I want to copy these, one of these at least. I can copy both, but it doesn't really matter. So I'm going to copy one, bring it down, and drop it on this portion. Because when I'm using these later, they will remain, if you look at them, they are on the D object layer. But here, they're just for my reference. I don't want to see them when I actually print. So I'm going to take these two guys, and I'm going to change them to the G junk layer. And since they're blocks, they don't change color, they don't do anything, but if I select it now, it is on the G junk layer. Now I know it won't print, but it won't print this outside line either, which is part of my elevation. And I have a call out or text out to the owner to get a little more additional information. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to D object and draw a line down this guy. And then I can mirror that and just make sure I don't grab the actual stud. And this has now got a center. And so when I drop it, it's going to end up right on the other side. So now if I were to turn my G junk layer or freeze it, I will have two lines there. So I got to make some assumptions because I haven't heard back yet. So I'm going to copy that line and bring it out. And I'm going to assume that I've got kind of old school. So I'm going to do 7/16 sheeting. And that's dropped. So what I'm looking for is where's my outside line. So come here, grab that line. Oh, why do I have two? Oh, because I trimmed those off. I didn't need to make another one. So here, I can move that. Just put it here for now. And then let's move that. And then I'll just go out one. So I'm going to move one of these two lines from here, one. And that's just a presumptive siding location. And it looked like I've got two still. So I'm going to delete one of them. Now I should only have one. I should have nothing here but the, oh, there's still a line. I'm going to delete that. So I have a problem hitting C instead of M all the time. So you'll see me do that quite a bit. There's two lines. Oh, there's three there. So I'm going to move that over the 7/16. And then I'm going to move that line from there over 1 7/16. And now I've got my siding, and then I'm going to erase, oops, I missed, erase that line. So now I don't have an extraneous line. And then I actually have to work here in order to create the elevation off of the roof pitch that I can get from their sketches. So I'll copy that there. And I can erase this guy now. But I do want to copy one of these guys. It could have been either one. I could even copied it from the one that was over there. Put it there. And if I wanted, I could bring those lines with me as well. So let's copy those from, and it's just relative. So it's here, there, and then I can erase that. And then I can copy these two guys from there. And these are useful for the section. You don't need both these lines if you're just doing an elevation. I'm doing it so I can just, when I'm done with this one, I'm just going to bring it over to my section drawing that's going to be here. So that is there. But what I need is I have to copy this guy from its stud point to here. And now I don't know how they measured everything. So what I can tell you is that from this drawing, they've got an approximate 15 and then the addition of 12. But that's about all that I know. And so when I start to put on the pitch, I'm going to estimate the pitch from what I've got right here. And so I'll have to do a little counting and figuring, and we'll put the roof on next. So first, just going to take a count. So let's just see what we got. If I come over 10, looking at the two major grid lines, I have a drop of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and about a half. So 6.5 and 10. Let's see how that works out in a 12 pitch ratio. So if I just do a line that goes up 6.5 over 10 and then back down, then I can actually take, let's go this route, offset 12. I'll just move that from there to there and chamfer this out. And then this distance in the, I guess I could, let's move this from there to there, chamfer this out so I can get the properties of that guy. That'll give me my rise. And length, about 8. It's about 8 and 12. So I think to make things simple, because we probably don't have an exact, we're going to do an 8 and 12. So all I got to do here then is get rid of this, offset 8. Oh, it's not. Oh, that's my 12. Undo. Okay, so I'm going to offset 8, and it should be really close. It is. Okay, so now if I take this guy and just drag it right there, that's an 8/12 pitch. So I'll take that and move it from center is good. Let's see. We've got a truss. So in a truss, there's no bird's mouth, so it's going to sit there. But he did say this he thought was vaulted. So, oh, sorry, this is the existing. So I don't think that I'm going to have that quite as the situation. So I think what I'm going to have is this. And I'll verify when I got there. But purpose of just getting some elevations done. Like I said, section really gives you the most information. So let's take and offset, I don't know, 12 for now. Off there, off here. I can't do that. I'll just do it here and there. What I'm looking to do is be able to trim out some of this floor area, the bottom portion, so it's more obvious as to which piece I'm working on. There. And as a total identifier, I just throw in one of my symbols. So I'll go to my library, and I want to go to symbols in my block. So symbols, look for grade, grade symbol, open. And no, it's not like a grade marker. This is something that looks like a grade. So now that that's in place, I can actually delete this. And then take this guy and drag it back because that magenta is a much darker line. And then I want to MA and turn that and turn this to outline my, like to have a dark border outline on my elevation. So I can now get rid of that. It was just there to trim, and we can make a copy of this guy from there and put one at this end as well. Now, I don't have the middle line I was looking for yet, so I'm just going to create one. I should be on my junk layer when I do this. And I'll do a line from up top here to the bottom here, which is now gives me the middle of the room. So I can mirror this guy around that middle portion, make sure it's straight up. Now I can chamfer these two, and you'll see the roof start to appear. Now I got to make some assumption. What have I got going on? I can always look at what they have provided as far as elevation goes. Not much. So it really is going to be kind of a guessing game. So with that being only 15 feet, I'm going to just make a guess from older construction. The oldest date I could find this in what's called Montana Cadastral was 2002. So this could be as small as probably a 2x8. So let's offset 7.25. And let's just put that member in there. And actually that, what just happened is fine, because if it is truly stick framed, then I'm going to have a bird's mouth cut. So I'm going to take this guy and pull it back. Or, it's better than pulling back. Let's trim it between here. Oh, that's good enough right there. And then I'll take this and just move it from there out to here. And again, looking at their drawing, it appears that they have about a 2-foot overhang that they're showing, which is good. It's good to have 2 feet. Offset 24. Oh, none of my drawing. Offset 24. And this is the existing. So I'll have to figure out how I want to show this when I get to that point. Let's get that to there, this to here. But that's quite the bird's mouth for only a 2x8. So I'm going to actually just guess that it's not. And now I'm just going to erase this too. Get one side drawn. So let's make it 2x10. 9.25. Now let's chamfer this out. That gives us some meat where that bird's mouth was cut, which is more realistic. And this would come most likely to there. And then this would be trimmed off. The sheathing probably comes all the way up, but that will show better in section. I'm not too worried about it here. And then what happens here? And so what I typically see is what we're going to show. So I'll go back into my blocks again and go to my nominal lumber under structural, my dimension lumber, and I want, oh boy, I doubt it is a 2x10. Let's go with a 2x8. I'm just guessing at what's there. I don't know yet. We'll find out when we get on site, but let's throw that in there. Now, what I'm going to do is configure it to be something like is probably close. Oh, well, I just thought of something. We actually do have some photographs of this thing. And let's see if yeah, I did. So, yeah, that looks like probably 2x8 material there. Maybe 2x10. Might be 2x10. Look at that. It's even got a, I think that says Google. Oh, it's probably the image shot. I don't know. 2021, maybe. Google. I don't think I've ever seen that sitting up in the picture before, but maybe these are from when Google drove by. So let's say this is 2x10, because if you look at the ends, they're They're at least a 2 by 10, I would say. So I'm going to go 2 by 10. And it's plumb cut. Looks like I have a king post here, and possibly that could be actually structural and not just visual. So let's kind of go with that assumption a little bit. So now that you see what I'm looking at, I'm going to get rid of this guy, and we're just going to go back out and grab the 2 by 10 of the same thing. And so that's just 2 by 10. I want a vertical one. Open, grab it, and pull that in. Now let's get it positioned right and then trim it like it should be. So I'm going to move it from here to its end piece, and then this will be cut off. And that's typically what I see. It's not always that way, but so I'll draw straight across. Now I can trim to here, trim both of those, and then just match my properties for, I want this color. If we're doing just the as-built, then it would be here. Well, not that one, but I can't undo that when you're doing match properties. So what I'll do is we'll get more of it drawn, and then so let's offset this by 5/8, saying that they did it to code minimum. It does overhang a little bit in that picture, so I'm going to go ahead and make that straight. And then I've got a shingle in there. So these lines are going to be really, really hard to see if they're all printing so close together. So I put them on this very light line that I have a layer called the object thin. So now I can chamfer this one out. And now let's match that edge. Now I'm going to switch my layer to that dark color because I want a line, even though they're overlapping, it will be the darker one that takes precedence when it plots. And I won't see this piece here. So since I'm not going to see that piece, I want it on the junk layer. But it's one of those things where I kind of need to remind myself what I'm doing with that piece. And so let's just copy it from here and put it in our section. So I'm going to put it perpendicular, and I think it's this one. So that should end, yeah, that's it. Should end up in the right place when we rebuild this, and it's on the right layer before I switch this to where it won't print. Oh, it is on the junk layer. Ah, you know what? I inserted it on the junk layer, so this one will be too. So that would have been an error, not discovered until I tried to print my section. But now it's on the right layer, so if I grab it, it is the object. So we're good there. And now that this is starting to look like the form it should take, all this interior stuff is just for the section. So we'll go ahead and mirror it about this center point, and then let's just chamfer and clean this up. Starting to get that to look as it appears they wish it to be. Now this is several pages in one document, so this one, all right, how many we have? So there's 10. If I come out 2 more, then I drop down, looks like it's about a 4 and 12, might be 3.5. So it's probably just whatever gets to this peak. And I don't know exactly where this is, but let's get it kind of drawn out. Boy, that's a little bit tricky to make happen. And why it's tricky is because as I draw this line, let's say we're in our drawing and draw the line from here, you know, it's not going to hit there. it's going to be up by whatever proportion it's cut out of by the member that we decide to roof this with. And it's possibly going to be quite stout because I think when it comes down to the actual structure, because this I don't believe has a proper foundation, I don't think we'll be able to bear on this. And this will have to be independent structure with a cantilever. And but we'll get to that more once I've done the inspection of the building and understand it better. So, in honesty, this thing is up by quite a bit and probably up by, I don't know, at least 8 inches. So, I'll try typing 8. Yeah, it never works. So, you just have to manipulate that by H, drop it in, and then bring this back down to there. Offset 8. And then I can take this and drag it straight up. And that'll be somewhere about where it's going to end up. Probably not exact. Oh, look at that. Okay, so this, when I had this up here, it appears that this could be structural with the king post. So we're going to make that represented by this. So if that's true, it's likely that it's nominal. So let's trim it to there. Let's trim this here. And then let's offset by 7.25. I think so. It's kind of hard to tell. The picture's pretty small, but we'll get measurements when we're out there. Offset 7.25. Now the king is going to be a line down there. And one quick way to do this, if I take a line and offset that one, let's just do the same, 7.25. We'll make it a 2 by 8. It looks a little bigger in the picture, but so now if I just take and I should be actually on my junk. So go to my junk layer, put that there, and now I can move this from there to there, and then trim it out. Erase that. So you can closer. Oh, I missed here though. I won't change what we did down here though, because that was just straight up set off to 8. So don't know much about that yet. Now, what I need to realize is how this is oriented. So, I'm not familiar enough yet. So, this is the small porch, and I believe that this is to represent the power box. Oh, here's a north arrow. So, what I do know is the area, and so this is the highway in the background, and north is that direction. So this is the south face here. Am I thinking of it? Yes. Yes, I'm thinking that right. So that is the south face I'm looking at. So that's this guy here with that window, I guess. Not a sliding glass door, but a window. And then we're going to cut this portion of the wall off on the north. And then attach it out from there. So this piece should be plenty visible in my drawing anyway. Because if you look up here, there's that one. So at this end, I've got the smaller, shorter porch, which is going to be from the door or floor layer down. And it does look like it's, well, it can't be. I have seen some preliminary information from them that tells me this is not a slab on grade. So I'm going to say this is 3/4 inch ply. So I'm going to offset it 0.75. Maybe. Offset 0.75. Drop that one down. And then, again, make some assumptions. So offset, let's go with 7.25. There's not a whole lot of room under this thing. So I can't imagine that they're larger than 2x8s. And being that this is the regular portion, I'm going to change that. Then I'm going to change this one to a thin line because they're just too close together. They won't print worth a darn. Now I have to imagine how this thing is put together. So just to touch on it real quick, they did give me a 2x12 floor joist at 16 on center and a 4x8 beam. I'm going to assume that's this guy. Possibly there's one to be put here. And then this just says existing. So what this is sitting on, I'm not entirely sure, but that is, I believe, the 12 feet. That should be the width of this new edition. Yes, it is 12. So, knowing that's what their initial desire is, I need to get rid of this and say that they probably were matching the 11 1/4 that was under the existing. Doesn't appear there's enough room for that, but we're going to just trust that that's the way it is. So now I lean a line down, and let's match this out. Really should just draw this over in the section because I'm going to drag the whole thing over there. In fact, let's do that now. So I'm going to grab this guy, and I'm just going to copy it, and we're going to copy it from, let's go from this point, which is the stud, to where it would hit here. Now I got to remember that I put 2 in here. One should be on the junk layer, which I don't need on this because the section it is going to print like this. Then I should have brought over an extra junk layer block. Now that is also in the junk. That one's on the junk. Now we're in the section drawing. So I want these to be printing over on this side of the paper. So that also, I want that to print. So now my blocks, except for these guys. Oh, no, they're fine. They are fine. They're on the right layer. So here I can start to either eliminate these or, and so let's go ahead and just line there, there, and let's just trim out this and then get rid of that. All right. So they wanted to put this on top. They must be hanging it because there's just not. So what code's going to tell us is that any wood is going to have to be 8 inches clear underneath in here. It's not like your siding that only needs 6 inches clear to untreated wood. So your sill plate is typically treated, so that can be within that 6 inches. You don't have to put it above. Oh, here I am pointing at stuff here. What I was saying is that this is needing 6 inches of clearance from wood to grade under here if we're doing it with wood. And if we're going to try and do this thing all in wood, we're going to have to do some pretty tricky stuff. So I may talk him into doing a slab on grade for the addition. I'll have to see how I can make that work out. And I really just need to get out there and take a look what's really going on. Because if I draw it this way, which, I mean, we'll draw it, and that way it's actually easy to explain to him where the issues lie. So to draw this in, what I need is the beam, and they want to show 4x8. So let's show them why we can't first. So we're going to have the 4, which is 3.5, comma, and then we're going to have the 8, which is 7.25, enter. So that one's going to be in the middle of this guy. So I need to have my midline line drawn here. So I'm going to go from here, put my diagonal in so it's easy to spot, easy to grab. And now I'm going to place this one from its midpoint to this guy's midpoint. Now I can move it down under here. And then I want to change it into, oh, speaking of that, I wonder if I have a 4x8 in my blocks, in my structural blocks. I don't. So what we'll do is we'll make one. So let's put this on the right layer. And now that that's there, let's put our cells on, well, it's not visible at this point. When I create blocks, I like to create them a lot of times on the 0 layer. Although this would be fine on the D-object layer, honestly. A lot of my structural stuff is just sitting on the D-object layer. So here I'm going to put in my line for the X to show that it's a beam. 2 lines showing that it's continuous instead of 1 line, which is for blocking. Then, now that that's set, I want to grab it and let's W block it. Oh, this W. And so we're going to pick a point, and I almost always use this bottom left quarter, select by objects, and then we're going to tell it where we're going to save it, which will be in here. There we go. So this is just going to be a 4 is a small x by 8. Let's just call it beam section. Or, this is the better, just 4x8 vert. Stay with my convention. And save. Convert to block. Good. Okay. So that's ready to go. And yeah, with the 12s, it only could go over the top. I couldn't really hang them off of this. So what I want him to understand is that if I copy this to the bottom, and then I move that down 12, that's where the grade has to be. So we'd have to dig out this big hole to make this happen. And I don't think they're going to want to do that. So let's just kind of show that as a representation so we can find out what they want to do. And we can, let's just see how it works. If I put one in the middle, it's going to end up right on the other edge. So that would represent both this and this. Now, this is going to be dirt down here. So we're talking about a stem wall here, typically towards the inside, or we could put a suitcase block at the top just to make it cleaner and not, and I hate placing it to the outside because this line of drainage is really important. So if I were to do a suitcase block, I could do an air gap in here. I'm gonna have to have continuous insulation anyway. So let's start to see what that looks like. Gosh, if I only do suitcase. Let's try it. So I'm gonna put in 6. And I'm gonna do one at 8. And let's set these on top. I can't. Yeah, I can. I have to. I have to figure out how I'm going to, but yeah, I kind of have to. So let's trim this out there, extend these out to here. And we'll mirror that around eventually. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to chamfer that to there, and then I'm going to chamfer this to become an 8-inch block. But I don't like it on the outside. I do not like it on the outside. It just doesn't sit well. And now that I'm seeing it come together, it is okay. So we're going to stretch this in. But not that, and not that. I just want to bring this into the stud. So this is what I call my baseline. And if I were to go back to the floor plan and put in that note, I'll show you what I mean. So if I come up to my structural text, so let's copy this from here, and we're going to put it right on, let's just go the mid of this wall here. And so what I'll do is I will label this at this time as baseline. And what that is it's a continuous line of bearing from the stud down through the foundation. So up here, I don't have enough thickness to accomplish what I need to do for insulation, because I do need to have continuous insulation on these buildings. This looks odd that that's sticking out. I wonder if I can delete that, and if there's a line under it. There is one. Okay. So, so if I'm going to insulate this outwardly, I'm probably going to end up with like a 2-inch. So let's offset 2, because all the new will have to have that. But this existing, I don't need to do that. So we have to figure out what's going to happen with the transition here. Because in our existing building code, I won't be required to update the new. What is this hanging out there? I don't know. But what I'm going to do is delete it. And then I'm going to take this guy and explode it. Because this is not, this is just like me guessing. I don't even have real dimensions on this yet, so I'm just going to erase those two. Then I get over here and realized I want to keep that one. So here, I'm going to trim it up to here. And so this is that transition. We're going to have to figure out how this was going to work, because when I put on an exterior insulation, let's just say, well, here, in fact, I even have that exterior drawn incorrectly. So let's offset 7/16. Now they showed 5/8. I'm going to show the minimum that I need for right now. So that is all the way around. That is correct. And it will have gone across here, but it now stops and we'll turn here. Erase that. I don't know why that came up again. So now this is in the wrong place. So now I need to, if I have 7/16, let's offset 2. Offset and it's 2. Grab that out. Now let's explode that. And then let's get rid of the ones we don't need. And like I said, I'm kind of guessing at what I've got. So let's get rid of this and let's chamfer this guy. So I'm showing my insulation going around this exterior. It is gone off there. Now, outside of that, I need to have something to hold that on with. So it's 0.75 to put bats every 24 inches. And for the plan view, I just show that as a continuous line and don't show every back. This is such a small project I could, but this is just the convention that I use. So this will be chamfered out too, but now I'm going to add offset 1 inch. They want hardy plank, and by the time you get that stuff lapped, it turns out to be pretty darn close to 1 inch. I'll take my dimension, drag it out so I get a nice clean line break there, and then chamfer these. So I've got layers for this stuff. So this is my insulation layer. And so that's insul, and then my scale is 24. It does have, oh, this one is solid. Sorry, I was going to tell you it had a different line style. But the furring here does have its own line style. And so that one goes to 24. And looks like that. And so I just got to match properties around the building. And on the siding, we can do a mirror if we want. Just take that, mirror it out 45. And then these are sidings, so they go on what I call my veneer layer. And that blue color is a very thin line as well. So between that and this color 60, I will have legible plan. Come down here, take that one. Let's do our insulation, that, and that. My sheathing layer is in, it's a structural element. Oh, and that is consistent. So we're going to go and put that. If I type in S, I keep that there. So it's not a thin line. And I believe it's the divide. So 24. And you'll see it as its own line style. So now if we save that, we'll start to see what's happening out there. But I do need to take, oh, I got my veneer is not complete. What I'm going to do is I'm going to chamfer it to here. And then just rechamfer this to fix that. Then let's mirror this out at 45, chamfer it, and it's probably going to be too long at the other end. So we'll trim it back to here. For now, I'll extend those down to there. We got to figure out what's going on. It's probably just an offset of 1, if I were to just guess at it. It's just siding, I would guess. Well, we should, that's part of the explanation I need to give to the client. So I'm going to take this guy and let's create a break. So I'm going to trim it between here and this white line. Get rid of that portion because that was a poly line one all the way around. So now I'm just going to match the property. I'm going to leave that there because they are two objects, very different from each other. Now I'm going to break this back. I didn't go far enough. But just grab that, pull it in, grab this one, pull it in, and then let's match this property so it prints thin as I want it to. And then in areas like this, when I'm done, I pull these out to here so I get that same distance clear all the way around my drawing. I want all of these to be very legible and not, because with color, it kind of gives you the notion that it's legible and it's not. And I want both of them to go with me. Now, I can tell you one of these is wrong. Probably this one because it's by itself, but what I do is I'll check it. This distance should be 18 inches to there, and it's not. So, it looks like the far one is correct. Yep. And these two are not. So I'll just pull that out. Correct this one. And we're good to go. Yeah, this was on the line. That's what these are here. They're called layout aids. So they won't print either. Now if I save that, come back to my working drawing. It says upload that, and you'll see it's all here, all that information. So now I can start to translate that down and show what's going on. So these lines that I put out here on the new are not correct. On the existing they are, but we're going to be cutting our section somewhere like here. So if I wanted to, I could actually start to show that. So if I go to my insert, here, go to my blocks, annotation, maybe, I think it's actually in symbols. Let's see. Section, yeah. So open, and then grab it, and bring it in. So there they are. So if I take this set, doesn't matter too much with my section. Let's move this guy. Oh, it needs to be exploded first. Now we're gonna move it because I just need these ones. From there, and let's throw it there for a moment, and then let's move previous from there. Let's scoot her down. Try not to hit those dimensions. I don't want to interfere with the door. And now I can stretch this from there until I hit my leader. And then I can stretch it more and just come out and say 6. And then do the same on the other side. So stretch this from there to my leader, and then stretch again, grab that, hold my shift, unselect that, and 6. So this is what we're drawing right here, but I don't exactly know what's going on inside. That is information I gleaned from the outside, and I'm guessing a little bit. I would have to get the dimensions on those. They're basically landscape blocks that a lot of people use for decks for years. And I have a sneaking suspicion that this existing building is all sitting on those. So I'm going to look up what they look like. For what they wanted to do is put these Bigfoot pier footings in. It's just a form that it's a leave in place form. Stick it in, pour concrete in it, forget it. And maybe that'll be our plan, but we got some things to deal with here. So, and that has a lot to do with how we're going to get these boards in there and have the clearance to the dirt. So, I'm going to draw a little bit of my grade. See, this can be an issue too. So the grade's not going to be up that high, that's for sure. So let's take a look. And it looks like back corner here is less than out here, but there's plenty of area to grade to make that change to what we want it. And our addition, I believe, is going. Oh, I cut out my. We can look here though. Excuse me. Um, I swear I put a north arrow on here. I guess not. Did I freeze the layer? None of the notes layers are froze, so I'm guessing I didn't put it on. Oh, I know where I put it. Let's open. Make sure I get it right because I've already done all the thinking it through. There it is. And it is north. Is the addition is going to be on the north side. So let's just grab that thing. Control Shift C, pick that point, come back to site, put it out front, floor plan, Control V, and let's drop this guy in there. Now it's freaking huge. So let's bring it down about 0.25. That should be plenty. Okay. So, considering that that is north, they do want to build out towards the fence. And let's make sure I've got that. Yep, they do. And so this is where I'm a little concerned. I got 3'8" to this closest corner, but I also don't have the same exact dimensions. And this 132 is off the center of the building because that's where they showed it being measured off of. And so I just created the shapes that were necessary. It really ended up matching the map. So I think I have it pretty darn close. But we can push things around a little bit. NEA there. Now it's not in that line. Um, so in my recording, I can go back to this. I'm at just over an hour. Ooh, I need to cut this short. So I'm going to circle this for my point of conversation with him. And then I'm going to stop the video and we'll make a different lesson at another point in time. So let's drag out a circle here. I want that to be on my junk layer in case I forget to erase it. And then when there's circles that are reminders to me, I turn them to this orange so they pop a little. And this is for me to say, hey, Kevin, take a look at this. There's this measurement and this one. All the measurements he gave me were very even, like this 24/13, 21/9. But when I put it together as a piece of geometry, and then I let AutoCAD do it, it will give me dimensions. So I wanted to show you this real quick, Kevin. If I wanted to say that this was 200 feet, what I do is I put in a bracket so I know I've handwritten it. 200 feet, and then I'll put a closed bracket because it's just a lot. I don't need to show inches. This is obnoxious to people. And then I'll close that. So I know this is the automatically generated one, and this is the estimated value that I was given. So that's really what I want to show you, along with the stuff that we need to discuss as far as how we're going to deal with this area, because wood needs to be 12 inches clear of soil. And I will look that up and see if anything changed when we adopted 2021 from 2018, but I think that one probably stayed the same. So for now, this is Mark Farrar. I'm going to sign off and get this video up so that I can talk to Kevin about it tomorrow. Have a good night, and I'll be recording some more tonight, but this one won't be posted for a while. It's an hour long. Sorry, folks.